It's been a long time since we've seen an episode of The Undertaker's Last Ride. Now, since there's only 5, this is going to be episode 4. This is the episode 4 review and reactions to The Undertaker's Last Ride. We're very close to the ending of this documentary, and there's a lot to cover in this one, a lot of matches to talk about. So, let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be The Undertaker's Last Ride Chapter 4 review and reactions. Now, of course, if you guys missed my backlash reaction and reviews, go check that out. But this is solely going to be on The Undertaker's Last Ride. Before we get started on anything, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Help me get to 60 subscribers. That's the goal. Hopefully, we can achieve this by as quick as possible. That's the goal, guys. Let's see if we can smash it out. But without any further ado, man, let's get started. So this episode started basically from where the last episode ended. Now, I know it's been a while, so that's why they've obviously got the recap going, and they're talking about Undertaker's poor match with D-Generation X, how bad it was. And if you guys already didn't watch my episode 3 reaction, basically I thought this match was bad, but I don't think that everybody in this match was bad per se, and I really feel like they got a little bit unlucky. But still, the match wasn't up to the standards, of course. So by doing this, he wanted obviously to retaliate, and he wanted to get a new opportunity to prove himself. Like usual with The Undertaker, as Michelle McCool said in the previous episodes, it's a cycle. Have a bad match, retaliate, improve. Have a bad match, retaliate, improve. It's a life cycle for The Undertaker. It's going to keep on happening. And yeah, so basically from then, it went all the way to having the way that he lived his character. Now, what I mean by that is The Undertaker, from the beginning till just about now, he always lived as The Undertaker. No one really knew about his personal life. No one really knew about what he does in his off time. He didn't do too many interviews, and when he did do interviews, he did them as The Undertaker. He answered like The Undertaker would, and he lived as The Undertaker. And they talked about how hard it was for someone to be able to do such a thing, how hard it was for superstars to live by their character. And we've seen a few superstars be able to do this. Obviously, Chris Jericho is a prime example now in AEW. He lives his character. He's always said that if he's a heel, he acts like a heel in real life, and he's a face, he acts like a face in real life, etc. We all know how it goes. And Undertaker is the prime example, the main example of living your character outside of the WWE. So it's very interesting to see how he made this character as real as it could possibly get, and I think that's why it was very successful. I think you can ask anybody. Living your character is just another element of making your character so much more realistic, and that's why a lot of the big superstars probably have to live that way. And Undertaker is that guy. He's the pinnacle of that situation, of being the Undertaker on and off WWE television. And yeah, to me, I kind of agree that the Undertaker being on and off the TV it's definitely hard to do, and it's really hard living your own life without changing a few things here and there. So the fact that Undertaker had to live his life pretty much not as his own, but as the Undertaker, that just already sounds stressful in itself. So I can see where they're coming from that, and all the people are saying like it's one in a kind that he was able to do that for so long, and he's still doing it now, really. So there you go. That's just a great great thing that was done by The Undertaker over the course of his career. I also mention his character development, and more importantly, his relationship with Paul Bearer. Now, RIP to Paul Bearer, of course. It's been a while, and I think the character Undertaker probably wouldn't have been as successful without Paul Bearer, and I'm pretty sure he can attest to that himself. Maybe he already has, but Paul Bearer was phenomenal towards his character. And Paul Bearer himself, in a 2012 interview with WWE, which was shown in this episode. If you do watch it, go watch that section as well. It was very very emotional because, you know, obviously the guy's passed away, but he and his character played so much of an impact with the Undertaker. Paul Bearer said basically that they went everywhere together. It was him and Paul. It was Undertaker and Paul Bearer together, and barely Undertaker at the time didn't even speak. But through the course of his career, there's always something that's always linked with the Undertaker. One, Kane, obviously, but even further than Kane is Paul Bearer. And that's exactly that's exactly what he means. Like, it's always been Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Even when there are times where Undertaker's not necessarily with Paul Bearer, he's always circling around. Even from the point from what 1990s to 2010, nearly 20 years, there's always been something going on with Paul Bearer and the Undertaker. That's special to me. That's a special moment. That's a special bond and a relationship. And yeah, and again, as I mentioned in the Backlash reaction, I don't really like storylines with Paul Bearer because due to his death. So when they did the CM Punk one, again, it sat the wrong way with me. But obviously younger, I wasn't really prone to understand things like that. But of course, now that I think about it, yeah, it's the same thing. I don't even know why I mentioned it. I just thought I should because, again, it's always with something with the Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Even after Paul Bearer's death, there's always something there. So which means it's always something that will be there for years to come, even from their passing. So that fair play WWE for that, but still, don't do that again, please. Anyway, yeah, and it went on to his more about his character development. He had so many people working on his character, or to the point of building a graveyard, building a like going into funerals and stuff like that, cemeteries, and yeah, like it really helped, and it's dedication more than actual willingness to do it. Because going into a cemetery at night when it's pouring rain and trying to work on your character, a lot of people would not be willing to do that. A lot of people would not risk their health to do that, but Undertaker did, and he's probably one of the only few that would be able to or would do it, and that's why he got so successful, because he was willing to do things that people just weren't willing to do or wouldn't bother to do. And I think that's very impressive for someone like an Undertaker. And yeah, that's why he got so successful. So basically, all this went on until they started talking about an autograph signing. Now, this has happened fairly recently as well. The order signing for StarCast, and eventually it got cancelled, of course, because we all know the situation with WWE and Undertaker not wanting to really go to any other company and stuff like that. It ended up getting cancelled, but they didn't go too much into that. But obviously, it's a very important factor to the relationship with Vince and the Undertaker. But I went on to WrestleMania now, and this is the WrestleMania the Undertaker wasn't a part of. This was the one with Batista and Triple H, that WrestleMania. Now, I can't even remember the Undertaker not being on that show, to be honest. I do remember the Raw after, but I don't really remember a lot about that WrestleMania itself. I'm pretty sure it was a decent WrestleMania from a lot of people's reviews and stuff, but yeah. He took that very well at the beginning. Obviously, just being chill, hanging around the new guys and the old guys, having conversations, just happy, smiling, relaxed, peaceful. But once the show began, he started to feel it a little bit more, knowing that all these superstars are going to be on it and he's not. And that kind of stung him. And I guess even he said it himself, there's passion within the WWE. He's still passionate about it. And it sucks that he wasn't at that WrestleMania, but at the end, there's always going to be that moment, even when you're retired, that you want to come back and you want to wrestle and you want to show that you still have passion for this. It's going to happen with everybody. So with the Undertaker, he said it should be easier going on, but he appeared on the next night on Raw with Elias, and even Elias posted about how special that moment was for him. And of course with the Undertaker as well, that was technically his WrestleMania. And at the end of the day, the Elias, it wasn't really a match, I would think, but just an interruption, choke slam, and you know, the Undertaker appearance. And that's what I want to see more out of the Undertaker, to be honest. Just randomly coming out at people. We don't know when, we don't know why. It just happens, you know, because he's the dead man. It's his yard. He does what he wants. That's what I want to see more from the Undertaker. And it goes on to his match with Goldberg at Saudi Arabia. Now, this match, this was probably the worst Undertaker match I've seen. So I don't want to be disrespectful, because obviously the two people in it they're legendary and they don't deserve to be mistreated in any way. But I think they could both agree that that was probably their worst matches, but both of them. So yeah, like it was a stinker. It was a stinker. It was a terrible match, and everything went wrong. And obviously the pain that Undertaker had to go through from that botched jackhammer, and not being able to pick Goldberg up for a tombstone, stuff like that. Yeah, it just wasn't a great match. And to be honest, I'm glad most people don't remember this match, because it's not a match that should be remembered. If they ever wanted to do it again, they need to impress a lot more than what they did against each other. But I just don't think they worked. And maybe it was due to the early concussion or head injury that Goldberg sustained, or maybe it's just that they had poor chemistry. We all expected the match to be short, but with that many botches in a short period of time, it just wasn't a great match, is it? And I hate to be saying that about an Undertaker match, but it's just the way that it is. But he ended up recuperating very well with the Extreme Rules match, but we'll get to that later on. So obviously it went to basically saying how hard it is to walk away. And you had a bunch of legendary superstars, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, all of these superstars saying, Father Time's going to catch up to you. And Undertaker himself knocking on the door, and eventually Undertaker's going to have to open that door to the retirement. And it's hard to do. I feel like that's, if you're really passionate about the workplace that you're in, whether it's WWE or even just a job at the office, whatever it is, if you're truly passionate about the work that you do, it's always going to be hard to let go of it. And that's just the way that it is, man. No one wants to let go of the things that they think they can keep going with, or they don't know when to call it time, etc., man. Father Time catches up to everybody, doesn't it? So at the end of the day, with The Undertaker, it's going to happen sooner or later. And I think that's the point where he was trying to accept. It's just not going to happen overnight, but eventually it's going to happen, and he needs to accept that. It's just the way that it is. It's better for The Undertaker in a way, because he gets to pick what he wants to retire, when he wants to retire, how he wants to retire. He can keep coming back until one day he can't. And some superstars don't get that benefit to actually pick when they want to leave. So I guess in a way, Undertaker's a little bit lucky to be put in that situation where he can choose where he wants to leave. Some superstars don't get that choice. And at the end of the day, enough about that. We all know time's going to be coming near for The Undertaker when it comes to his retirement. And it's going to happen to everybody. If you're really passionate about something and you have to let it go, it's going to be hard. And I think that's the message of this entire documentary, really, but mainly for The Undertaker at the moment. Now, moving on to the Extreme Rules tag team match. So this match was The Undertaker and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. And people were hyping this match up to be basically the Undertaker's last match, I guess, backstage. No one really heard about it from the crowd point of view, but Undertaker felt like he needed to redeem himself here, obviously from the match against Goldberg. He wanted to make sure that that match was forgotten, and it was forgotten. Honestly, until they brought it up in the documentary, I didn't remember a thing about Goldberg and Undertaker. Obviously, the memories come back. I was at a KFC when I watched that match, just letting you guys know. Anyway, so that match was pretty insane, and it was a very good match, and I think they definitely got what they deserved. I was very happy watching this match. Obviously, there was a lot of highlights. That obviously the jumping through the table for The Undertaker, getting hit with a guitar, that big that last scene where he's doing the cutthroat and Drew McIntyre just rises up like the dead man himself. Beautiful camera work there. Honestly, whoever did that, WWE, man, you can seriously know how to create a moment sometimes. Anyway, that match was very, very good, and it did the job. Undertaker even admitted himself, he felt good. He felt like this could be the match that he could leave. And to the point where he was talking to Vince McMahon, and he said, I'm done. I don't want to wrestle anymore. My body can't take it anymore. I'm done. This is the right time to leave. So that's basically the end of this Last Ride documentary chapter 4 review. It goes into chapter 5. It gives you a little preview of how AJ Styles actually wanted things to end, because there was rumors about one more match, and AJ Styles wanted to put his name in the hat and see what would happen. And obviously we know what happens, but I cannot wait. This is probably going to be my favorite episode, because that Undertaker and AJ Styles match was by far probably the best thing I've seen outside of a wrestling ring in terms of an outside match, bar Matt Hardy, of course, you know, because he does so many of them. Maybe one of them is better, but for me, the Undertaker and AJ Styles is probably the best one. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see this episode, to see how they actually got this thing going, because I'm really interested to see the behind the scenes of that match and how it got together, how it worked, because it was just a perfect match, man. It was a perfect match, and if that's Undertaker's last match, that's iconic. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you're new to the Sports Code or Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, share the video and the playlist. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this chapter of the Undertaker's last ride. And even more than that, let me know what you guys think of all the matches that was talked about in the Undertaker's last ride. The Extreme Rules match, the Saudi Arabia match for D-Generation X, Saudi Arabia match for Goldberg. There was good matches here to talk about. And of course, you had the Elias stint at Raw and not being a WrestleMania. Anyway, have a wonderful and safe day, guys. Take care and peace.